around people that are pushing you is everything. Having somebody that you're racing with next to you, that's what drives excellence.
Which route do you go?
Real estate's actually an easier way to do it than others. I am more focused on appreciation because I'm trying to build wealth. I'm not trying to retire. Don't do real estate if it's 1 to 2 properties. You've got to do it at scale.
Why is investing in California the best place to invest?
One of the largest economies in the world. If California was a country, we'd be the 4th largest. There's business to be done here. I want to be where everybody's going, why is he doing that?
What was it like becoming a politician?
Somebody called me racist. Not being a pro skateboarder anymore. Blood is on your hands.
Does having some money in the account help?
The money's never been the mover for me.
Do people think that you're trying to make more money for yourself by changing the laws in your favor?
What are you talking about?
Why does investing even matter?
If you don't invest, you work forever.
How do we grow?
The hard part is...
Mikey Taylor, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. My old neighborhood.
Your old neighborhood.
Yeah.
So your story, your whole life to me, just looking from where you started and then where you're at right now, is super interesting to me. Can you tell me, I want to start with, how much did proximity play a factor in each phase from professional skater, brewery, real estate investing, and now being the mayor of Thousand Oaks?
That's a good question. It definitely had a part to do with skateboarding and beer. And then the mayor, for sure, those 3. Real estate is maybe the only outlier, but Southern California, like skateboarding it's like surfing. Was like the epicenter. So that was really normal for all of us to do when we were young. Craft beer, there was a moment where San Diego just started pulling the whole industry down south. So I think that was probably fitting as well. Gosh, real estate, you pick the place on the planet, you're going to be able to do real estate, And then, mayor. Like, I ran for city council for, the city that I grew up in. I don't know if I would have done that if I just was randomly living in an area for a few years. The only reason I did that is because this was home.
And so Newbury Park, is it Borchard?
Borchard Skate Park.
Borchard Skate Park.
Yep.
Tell me about you were like 13 when you moved here. Who was it? Who was around and what was going on at that time that you had this proximity,
I grew up 10 minutes from Newbury Park. So I was already kind of in this area. When I moved to Newbury Park, though, I was probably 15. I was already skating. And for whatever reason, Newbury Park bred phenomenal skateboarders. It makes no sense why. I still don't know why to this day. But when I moved here, there were maybe 7 or 8 kids that were able to do the tricks that I was watching in the movies. And I was like, what am I witnessing? And then they all got sponsored. And for me, it was being able to see people I knew actually break through and get recognized, which probably gave me the perception of it being possible for me to do it. And then what ended up happening is all my friend group, if there were like 12 of us, 8 of us went pro. And that's so rare. Like, it's really rare for like 2 kids to go pro in the same county, let alone a little city of 35, 40,000 people in Newbury Park.
Yeah, I mean, and you're near LA, but still, yeah, you're in Newbury Park. Like, I grew up in a very similar, so I'm driving around here right now and I'm like, this is exactly where I grew up, in the East Bay area, Concord, California. This suburb could be placed almost anywhere in California. Really.
Yeah.
But your proximity to LA, did that have any impact on?
Look, from LA, we have all of the valley. You have LA proper, you have all those surrounding cities. Weren't that many people going pro in those areas. So I don't it's not like we had a closer shot to LA than the valley did, but definitely more pros came out of Newbury Park.
Do you think you would have gone pro had you not been here?
No chance.
Okay, so what does that say then about being around the right people or in the right environment?
I think being around people that are pushing you is everything. Like in my old city, there was nobody that I was really competing with. Like all my friends were kind of learning together, and then most of them quit before we even got good. When I came here, it was like every single person was good. So, and I'm competitive. So like I wanted to be as good as them. That's a special combination. Mm-hmm. Like having somebody that you're racing with next to you, that's what drives excellence.
Have you ever found that after skating?
Yes and no. it's different now. Like now I almost have to create competition for myself. Not saying like I'm the best and there's no one to compete with. It's just, I don't have friends the way I did when I was a kid that were with me 24/7 trying to get better and competing. I more have to look at people in the industry who I don't ever even see and pretend I'm competing with them. You know, there's definitely a group of people doing it the new school way. And that would probably be who I should be competing with, because we're kind of leading the charge on a new way of bringing investors in and using social media. But then you look at the giants and they're not doing any of it, but you know, they're managing billions and billions of dollars. So sometimes it's hard to figure out who the competition really is. If I were to like maybe pick the closest example, I'd probably say Grant Cardone, maybe who I would say, okay, I see what you just did. Let's see if I can catch up.
It's interesting to think about the people that are on social media, because we can all probably name all 5 of them. There's not that many that are really out there that are doing, like Grant's definitely one, Pace Morby, Rich down in San Diego, like there's Ryan Pineda. Those are really the people that are really, really doing it.
Yeah, but the hard part is they're not totally doing it the same way. That's the part that makes it unique. Like we're all using social media, we're all building a brand, and we're all in the real estate space, but not all of us are building real estate investment firms, right? Like that's the separating factor.
I've been thinking about where most real estate investors get stuck, I think, is in still just doing one deal after another.
Yeah.
And doing different deals. And, you know, they've got short-term rentals, long-term rentals. They're trying to start a syndication. They did a partnership that failed. And nobody ever really starts a business of buying real estate.
Right.
How are you structuring your business? Or like, what is the business of buying real estate? Instead of just going out and looking at a house and I say, I'm going to buy this house.
They're kind of two different things, right? Like you mentioned one thing, which I interpreted as the entrepreneurial curse, which is we try to do everything.
Yeah.
That's one issue in itself. The other part is, how do you build a business in real estate, which could be done a lot of different ways. Like, you know, even going back to, you know, Pace or Rich or Brandon, like all of us are doing it differently, right? You've got Brandon Turner that I think is pretty much just an investment firm at this point. You have Pace, which is a community with an investment arm and maybe courses, right? You've got Grant, which is like live events, real estate, and courses. Like me, just a real estate investment firm. So there's a lot of different ways to structure it. How we do, we basically go out and find real estate. The real estate can be packaged differently. It can be in a syndication or it can be into a fund. We have investors that come in as limited partners, and then we bring the project basically full cycle. And then the investor gets to participate passively in it. And so you don't have to do it that way. That's just how we decided to do it. And then it's just like anything, like how do you grow? How do you grow right? And you know, that's just the name of business.
Well, tell me, how do we grow right?
Oh, okay. Depends on the stage you're in. In the beginning stages, it's basically survival. It's you have an idea, you have no money, you're trying to convince people to help you, and you're trying to get it to the point where you at least have the revenue to support the initial group. And then you need to start scaling. And going from like the core 4 to actually hiring is a pretty hard step. And so what I've always attempted to do is start to build the foundation first, even before you're actually delegating correctly. And then once you have the foundation, then it's just kind of, you know, find the person that can do it. You know, they say up to 70% of the ability you can, and then put them in place. And you just do that over and over. I think the hard part is, how do you hire before the revenue is available? And then how do you continuously showcase the purpose and the culture and the drive and the efficiency and kind of all the components that continue to drive the business forward? It's like a constant, you're just constantly going over it, you know? It's hard. It's not easy.
So how do you hire when the revenue is not there?
I've always done it through equity. I've always given people participation in the upside. Is how I've always done it. I don't know if there's another way to do it ethically. Like, you can tell somebody that you're going to pay them once it's coming, and maybe you're being honest in it, but you run the risk of having people doing stuff for you and they're just never going to get paid. I've always just tried to give them ownership in it.
Is there enough to go around in real estate? Like, is real estate a big enough business to hire that way and to create a business or create equity and cash flow?
Real estate's actually an easier way to do it than others. Like, when you have one company, you've got 100% of the one thing, right? When you're doing real estate, you can create a company for every piece of property. So you have so many different opportunities to plug people into ownership. That makes it so much easier. So in some regards, it's easier to do it with real estate. The hard part about real estate, especially if you're like me and you build, cash flow is years away. So, and even cash flow isn't huge for building a business. So it takes time, but what I found is if there's a lot of people out there that have made a lot of money that has been entirely W-2 based, and they have this whole desire towards actually having ownership in something, and they have time available. There are opportunities to pull people in, give them ownership. It's going to maybe be a part-time basis, but when you own something, it's not going to be part-time. And then that kind of gets you through the point of being able to actually pay. But the secondary part is you're not totally generating revenue from cash flow from the assets. You maintain fees from managing money, right? So when you are raising capital, you typically have an asset management fee and you have an acquisition fee. So you get that before the property cash flows. Then once the cash flow turns on, depending on your structure, you're typically participating in that as well. And so that helps, but you don't have to wait for the cash flow. You eventually have to get there, but you can hire before then.
Why do you have to get to the cash flow?
Well, if you never pay investors back, you're only going to be able to go so far.
Yeah. And so where do you rank cash flow in the overall life cycle of a real estate investment?
Yeah, this is a hard one because cash flow is important. It's important. You can't say that cash flow is not important. It is, because if a property doesn't cash flow, it can't survive. But I don't put a lot of attention towards cash flow as the one lever of return. I am more focused on appreciation because I'm trying to build wealth. I'm not trying to retire. But I just need to make sure that when we're building an asset, I want to make sure it pays its debt service, right? So if it can pay its expenses, pay its debt service, and we have some cash flow, fine. I don't need that cash flow to be 10%. I don't need it to be 9%. I need the doubling of money is what I'm looking for.
And when you say doubling of money, you are talking about forcing value and
100%.
That's right.
For example, my first business, it was a craft brewery. I never made $1. We were never profitable. We spent more than we made every single year we were in business, right? My investors made a 13x return. So it's like, do you want to make some cash flow and maybe double your money, or do you want a 13x? I want a 13x.
Okay, so then let's talk to the people that maybe they've invested a little bit. Because this is where I'm at, is which route do you go?
How old are you?
I'm 38.
Appreciation.
Yeah, so, or am I trying to quit my job? Right, that's the other question I think.
What are you gonna do if you quit your job?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I already did, but I'm doing this podcast and I'm gonna create content. But so
you're gonna do something.
Something.
Yep.
Well, and so let's see if we're all in alignment.
Run me
here.
through it.
No. I'm someone that's maybe they've just started investing or they haven't yet. And so they've got a little bit of knowledge. They bought 1 or 2 properties, probably single family. And they're sort of coming to this realization of, oh yeah, maybe it's the appreciation, the cash flow's not as great, one HVAC, and I'm not making any money. How do I make money in real estate? Should I keep buying a couple properties a year if I can do that? Should I try to use my W-2? Should I try to raise money? Or should I go do a development that's going to take 2, 3, 4 years? What do you tell these people?
I would only do real estate if you're going to build an entire portfolio behind you. Don't do real estate if it's 1 to 2 properties. You've got to do it at scale. If you're going to do it at scale, then yeah, you just keep going. You buy as many as you can each year. You don't have to use investor capital. It's just going to potentially take you longer to get to the point where this thing's paying for the properties and your life, right? Your lifestyle. If you're trying to just have smart investments and you want to do one property of your own, I would not do that for me. I would go invest in groups that do this for a living and let them build the portfolio, let them build your wealth, and don't sacrifice your time, is what I would say.
Okay.
For the cash flow part, I don't know if it was Kiyosaki. I don't know what it was, but even myself, like I was so infatuated with cash flow when I was young. But I experienced financial freedom early, right? 34, no career, not making any money, and like was good. It only took about a month where I was like, what the heck am I doing? Like, I've got to go do something. So for me, what I do know about myself, I'm going to work for the rest of my life. I will never have a point in my life where I don't work unless I'm not able to. But I want to always have the choice to do what it is I'm doing for work. Like, I don't want to be forced into it. Because of that, I don't know why I would emphasize cash flow over appreciation when cash flow will, in theory, always be lower than appreciation, right? Two ways to make money. You make money right now, or you make money on the back end. Making money on the back end should always be more than the front end. And that's the conversation, or that's the question you need to ask yourself when it comes to cash flow. Do I want less now, or do I want more then? And for me, I want more then. I don't need the cash flow right now.
Why does it always seem that that's always the right decision is in life, not just real estate, but like playing the long game, playing long-term games with long-term people and delaying gratification? Why does it always seem like that's the answer?
Because it requires discipline. And most people don't have that. And so reward is always where the few are. And it's only the few that are willing to wait.
When did you learn that?
When I started skateboarding. Yeah, when I started skateboarding, like probably one of the most important things that I learned from skateboarding was delayed gratification and what failure actually means, right? On the failure side, like when we were trying to go film a trick, right? I would go out and I would try a trick for 3 or 4 hours. And it would be jumping off stairs. Every time you mess up, it hurt, right? So it was this constant battle of your brain and body saying, no more. But like your will having to figure out how to keep going, right? And then you would land it. And then what you experience on the other end was joy and being proud of yourself. And then the video, the clip went into a video, and then it was used for all this, marketing efforts. And so it's just, I was programmed over 30 years of being willing to go through the fight or the battle to achieve. And then that just became normal, right? And then kind of, paired with that, skateboarding, like you're failing the majority of the time. Like it's very rare for you to actually land tricks. And so that was like a secondary program for me of like, you're going to fail the majority of the day. It doesn't matter if you fail, you just have to keep doing it until you get your one trick or one sale or whatever your goal is that you're chasing.
When I think about skateboarding, personally, I am afraid. Like, you can't really get me on a skateboard because I will fall. Yeah. Like, I'm good at other things. I'm athletic in other ways, but there's something about getting on a skateboard. I had rollerblades when I was a kid with grind plates on them that were like fresh and clean the entire time I owned. I don't think they touched a curb whatsoever. But I think about the fear and what you just described, and I watched a video of you, I don't know, you're probably, 20 years old, 25 years old.
A long time ago.
Doing that exact thing. You were hitting a rail over and over, and each time, like, going harder, going faster, falling, hurting, like, how do you get over that fear of doing that just over and over and over again?
That's such a good question. Fear goes away with repetition, right? Like you're scared of doing something that you've never done. And then if you force yourself to do it over and over and over, you eventually get to a point where it's no longer scary, right? Best example I've ever had from this is, his name's Paul Rodriguez, one of my friends, one of the greatest skateboarders of all time. And I remember skating a skate park with him when I was young. And he was trying this trick down a rail. He would mess up, and he landed it one time. He did it perfect. That was usually enough for us. Like, do it one time, good, I got that over with. And then he ran up, tried it again, landed it, right? And he might have done it maybe 10 times in a row. And I remember going up to him, I was like, Paul, I think you've got it down. And his response, which I'll never forget, and it's like the greatest example of overcoming fear, is he said, yeah, I've done it, but I'm still scared of it. And I'm going to do it until I'm not scared. And that was his model, just repetition until fear goes away. And that's at play for everything. Like, I remember the first time you ever asked a girl out, like, that was not easy. Like, I was scared. And I think the best thing you do is just go ask girls out. Like, get rejected. Like, get over the feeling that you're so scared of realizing. Realize it. It's never as bad as what you made it up to be in your head. And then you move forward.
If you knew that whatever it is that you wanted, let's say mastering this trick, if you knew that you would master a trick if all you did was fail 100 times, would you try to go fail 100 times as quickly as possible? Like, if you knew at the end of this, you were going to be the mayor of Thousand Oaks, but all you had to do was get 100 no's, 1,000 no's, embarrass yourself 100 times, wouldn't you try to do that as quickly as possible?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's probably all we ever need to do, is just fail once and have the realization that it wasn't that bad. Wasn't as bad as I made it up to be. Once you go, oh, that's not too bad, then you try it again. And you try again. Eventually you'll do it. Eventually you'll pull it off. So you just have to be willing to keep going.
I think that's literally the key to all of this. Even let's say you don't have any skill or talent.
Right.
Bare minimum is you just don't stop.
No.
You literally just don't stop.
No, that's what my wife's always, she makes fun of me in a very loving way, but she always goes, you're like the Energizer Bunny. You just go forward, 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 forward. She's like, sometimes you're hitting a wall. You need to like be tweaked. But the second you're tweaked, you just go forward, forward, forward. There's a lot of return in that. Just take a step over and over. Yeah,
the old me, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, there's a common thread a lot of times, this focus forward, this keep going, perseverance. Like, a lot of us might have ADHD. We're obsessive about certain things, right? But we can't like always get out of our own way.
Yeah.
But it's this like perseverance and constant push. And then I run into walls too. And then my wife is nice enough to tell me,
babe,
maybe go outside
that's right.
for a minute. Did you feel different in the skateboarding community?
Oh, than everyone else?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This happened to me last week. I posted something that skaters didn't like, right? And, all the comments like, you're a disgrace to skateboarding and you're not one of us and all that, right? And I came home and I was talking to my wife about it, and she goes, yeah, it's funny because they think that like you've turned on skateboarding, but like this is actually who you always were. You just kind of hid it, which is true. Like, I never felt like I was supposed to be a skater, which is weird. I always thought I was going to be an attorney, like from a young age. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to law school, do my thing. And then I started skateboarding and just became obsessed with it. But even once I was skating and became pro, like even the way I treated sponsors and how I was investing, and that wasn't normal behavior. I had 3 friends that I could talk to about it, and it was like we were living separate lives. And then we go, into the skate world and kind of just like put on a different face. It was weird. It was like 2 different lives.
Tell me more about that. I'm interested.
Okay, so Paul Rodriguez. I mentioned Paul. He's been a friend of mine since we were kids, and Paul and I were very similar in the way we looked at skateboarding. Like, we treated it as if it was a business once we turned pro. And he was very driven the way I am. Wanted to succeed, wanted to own businesses, thought it was cool to own companies. That wasn't normal for skaters, right? Paul and I would talk about investments. Like, that's not what skateboarding was. Like, skateboarding, especially in the 90s, was very like anti-everything, right? It was counterculture back then. It was anti-establishment. It was raw. It was burn everything down. It was very different than it is today. So coming from that era of more being misfits and then talking about making investments and putting money into the market, and that just was not normal. I remember the first time the point in which I was the most uncomfortable that, when it felt like my two lives came together. It was after we sold St. Archer. It was really public, but it was public in like the business world, Business Insider and Forbes. No one was really promoting it in skateboarding. And I remember going to Texas. I went out for this Make-A-Wish Foundation demo. And I got onto the course and the announcer announced it. Mikey Taylor, the newest millionaire pro skateboarder, sold his business. He's got money, right? And I remember he said that and I was so uncomfortable. I was like, crap, there's no hiding it anymore. Like, now everyone knows. That was a weird feeling.
And so what happened at that event? Did people come up to you?
No one said anything. It was, I think I made it up in my head. No one cared until I started Commune. When I started Commune, that's when the hate really started coming.
Okay.
When we sold St. Archer, people didn't even really care because I think beer was cool.
Oh, so it was okay that you made a bunch of money because it was beer and
Yeah.
getting drunk, and it was still sort of counter.
Yeah, it was still
Craft.
beer was like, if I could have picked an industry that was as close to skateboarding in the 90s as possible, we picked it.
Yeah.
So it was accepted. Like an investment firm that's not.
That's what I mean, though. This whole thing is so interesting to me, and that's why I asked if you felt different, because I can see it. I went back and I watched a bunch of your videos, and you're still you. So what your wife said to me when I was like, yeah, he's still Mikey. He's not any different than he was back then. He's just doing something different.
Right.
And so I'm super curious.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because look, there's a lot that skateboarding instilled in me that is 100% at play today. It's just in an industry that they don't understand, right? Like, there's a lot of skaters that go, investment? Like, no. And they can't get past that, right? The way I look at the investment world is the same way we looked at the craft beer industry. It's the same way that skateboarding taught me to look at the world, right? What does everybody else see? And what can I find that others aren't, right? Like, how is there a way to do this that's unique, that makes people go, what the heck is he doing, right? Because in skateboarding, that's what we constantly had to do. It was, how can I do the same trick you did, but different? How can I make it look different than you? How can I look at a spot and find some other way to skate it that no one else is seeing, right? That view has come into every company I've ever started, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to get into real estate. How's everybody else doing real estate? Well, if you're talking about apartments, they go out and find apartments. They get paired with single family offices or high net worth individuals, and they bring in a lot of money and they build their firm that way, right? No, I don't want to do it that way. How can I do it? Well, who's using social media? No one. Who's speaking to the masses? No one. How can I speak to them and give them direct access to this real estate? And then how can I do the real estate different than others? And it's, had tweaks along the way, but using social was a part of the foundation. So how I'm finding investors and how I'm speaking to them is different. And then even like the real estate we're doing, like I started investing in California at a time where it was uncool to invest here, right? Like people thought I was nuts. That's where I want to be. I want to be where everybody's going, why is he doing that? That all came from skateboarding.
Yeah. And tell me about your Sponsor Me tape and how that was different than...
The Sponsor Me tape is going to be another example of the Energizer Bunny. So all my friends are sponsored when I was young. Everybody's got sponsors except for me. And there was this kid who was friends with us that had a video camera. So he filmed everybody. And I was not even close to the best of my friend group. So even having him film a tape of me, I had to work to get him to do it. And so he ended up making a video of me. It was maybe 2.5 minutes long. I went through all the magazines. At this point, it was like actual hard copy. And a lot of companies, when they'd have an ad, would have the address for their company there. And so if they had an address, I put it on my, VHS tape and I sent it to them. I just put attention team manager. I sent 40 of them out and just hoped that somebody would call me back. My first tape, nobody did, 40 of them. And so I called the filmer and had to talk him into filming a better video of me. So then I did it again. I sent another 40 out and I got three phone calls. Those are my first sponsors.
Oh, so they actually...
The second round, I got 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And even the first guy who ever called me, his name was RP Bess. He ran a shoe company called Duff's. and called my parents' house. I was living at my parents' house. And he goes, hey, I saw a video from your son, a sponsor me tape. Can I talk to him? And my dad is such a savage. He goes, oh yeah, you're calling about like to sponsor him, right? And he goes, yeah. My dad goes, yeah, they've been calling all day long. And he goes, they have. And he goes, yeah, it's insane. I can't, like, I'm picking up the phone constantly, right? Nobody had called. He was the first.
Yeah.
And so when he got on the phone, he's like, I want to send you shoes right away. I was like, crazy. Okay. So that was the launch of it.
And so was that different than what other skateboarders were doing? Like
most people knew somebody. So most people either had somebody who was in the industry or were sponsored by a shop that had an in with the company and they were like the middleman. Some of the reps sponsored kids, and then, if they got good, they then pushed them over to the actual team manager. But I don't think there were a lot of kids just sending random sponsor me tapes. I don't think.
Yeah, and you did it 80 times essentially.
Yeah.
You followed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said, I'm not going to quit.
Nope.
Yeah. Why is investing in California the best place to invest?
Well, why I like it, why I invest in California. Before you get into what makes it difficult, right? You cannot replicate this state's weather. This is the best weather in the entire world. You can't recreate that. One of the largest economies in the world, right? If California was a country, we'd be the fourth largest. So there's business to be done here, right? The demand is still seriously high, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. What makes it challenging now is also the reason why I do it is our policy is just not good, right? We are an over-regulated state. We make it very difficult to do business, which means it's very expensive. All the laws do not favor owners. It favors tenants or employees. And that has de-incentivized investment for a very long time. So when you have a state that is so stunning and everyone wants to be here, and at the same time, you limit the ability to build new housing, what happens to prices? They go up. And so right when I saw that happening, I went, oh, this is where I want to be. I want to be in the place where demand is so far from supply and everybody's looking at me going, you're crazy for building there. How? Why? Like you can't get a more obvious breakdown of supply and demand. Demand here, supply here, and they won't let supply happen? Okay. That seemed very obvious to me, but that's not how we're wired, right? Like we're wired for comfort. And so we find comfort in doing what everybody else around us is doing. And for the last 8 years, everybody's invested in the Midwest and the Sunbelt states and, Texas and then Idaho, and they weren't investing here. So they wanted to go where everybody else was going.
They wanted the cash flow.
I don't even know if they wanted the cash flow. I think they wanted to feel like they were doing the right thing. And watching people around them doing the right thing made them feel like that was it. That's just always been a scary place for me.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are you wired for comfort?
No, No, when I'm comfortable, I feel like something's wrong. That's probably from skateboarding. Or maybe a deeper issue, I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, I do not like it. Well, maybe that's not the best way to say it. I naturally go towards comfort the same way all of us go towards comfort. So I'm not unique in that regard. I think probably from skateboarding, I've been trained to associate comfort with stalling out. It's probably what it is. So the second I get to comfort, it's like it's a red flag to me. Something is wrong. You're not doing anything anymore. And you know what they say, if you're not growing, you're dying. So I think I've just been programmed to be mindful of that.
In the skating world, so you were different. You were talking about investments. In general, outside of skating, in general, why is investing important? Like, why does investing even matter?
Well, it doesn't necessarily matter, right? It depends on what your goals are. For me, my goals have changed. But when I was skating, my goal was to become financially free because I didn't know what I was going to do after skateboarding. That fear drove me towards a solution. And the solution was if I invest and my investments are making money, then I don't care if I'm no longer a pro skateboarder. Like I have money coming in, who cares? So that was my original goal. Because that was my goal, investing was the only way to achieve that, right? Because if you don't invest, you you work forever.
You work forever. Yeah. You trade your time for money, essentially.
Yep.
Did everyone in the skating world did they think that they were just going to get sponsored and make $1 million? Was that it? Or was it people just skated?
No, I think about this a lot, actually. I think it was skateboarding, and maybe it's similar to other sports. It's scary to think about what life is going to be like after skateboarding. In a lot of ways, I know this sounds over dramatic, it almost feels like you're dying. And so it's probably similar to the way we look at death. Most people don't think about death because it's scary. I think there's a lot of pros that don't think about life after skateboarding because it's scary. So they just put it off, and then it happens, and then you're forced to figure it out.
And it happened for you too, right?
Oh yeah, it happens to all of us.
Yeah. And so what happened? So, like, I guess tell me the story, but your career ended at some point, and then.
So my thing that put me in a position that was a major blessing for me. My mom freaked out when I told her I wasn't going to college, and paired that with you have to have somebody help you financially. So I had somebody come into my life when I was young and teach me little things like building my credit, creating a budget, putting money in a retirement account, all of this, asset allocation. And that got me on the path to planning for the end of my career when I was very young, 19 years old. Right? I was planning for my career to end before my career even started. That's not normal, right? Second, I started my first company before my career technically ended. So as my career was plateauing, I used the golden years to start a business. And so I started the company, we sold the company, and we sold the company before my career actually technically ended. So then both of those basically went away simultaneously.
So that was St. Archer.
St. Archer.
So you started St. Archer when you were skating.
I was still skating.
And you were building St. Archer while you were still skating, and you sold it at the same time that you're...
Right before.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right before my career ended.
It makes it easy to stop skating when you have an exit.
Dude, I thought so too. It didn't though. That was my whole plan. Like, it's so funny when I was young, I was like, yeah, just, invest. And then like my career ends, who cares? Oh, I cared. That was hard.
Really?
Oh yeah. That was really hard. I didn't want it to end.
Okay. So, but you knew it was coming.
Yeah. I knew it was coming. I still didn't want it to happen.
And so what did you miss the most?
I think there's a lot of stuff I missed. I missed there's flexibility in a skate career that is fun, right? Like 1 week you're here, you get a phone call, you want to go to Paris. Okay, you're going to Paris. Hey, you want to go to Australia? I'm going to Australia. Like there were all these random trips that would pop up. The community, like, that's all I did. So I had so many friends in the skate industry that I got to see all the time. Like, didn't see them. I see a fraction of them now, right? And then I would say the thing I miss the most actually is with skateboarding, you can feel accomplished pretty frequently, right? Like you could go out and land a hard trick almost every day. So every day you're coming home accomplished. Like now, dude, sometimes I go months before feeling like we did something, right? So it's like, just, you don't get that sudden rush of dopamine as much as you do when you're skating. I miss that.
That's the other entrepreneur's curse.
Oh, 100%.
Is we do the to-do. It's they're coupled. The dopamine hit with the like always achieving is like the to-do list of things that don't really matter, but we're feeling accomplished because we checked a box.
Noise, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, the signal versus noise.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I've been studying that or watching more content on that.
Yeah.
Focusing on the one thing too.
Yeah.
Was anything, because and a lot of these questions are because I've been going through my own just like personal journey of scarcity versus abundance. I quit a long corporate career. I always felt different. I didn't know why. I thought that's just how it was. Yeah. That I'm different. I just feel that way in this corporate environment. And then come to realize I hadn't found my people. I hadn't explored this entrepreneurship side, this real estate investing side, this builder, this creator that's in me. Right. And so I like to ask questions just to see if you experience the same thing.
Oh yeah. And I couldn't have articulated what made me different when I was skating. No way. I just knew,
I could see it though.
Yeah.
And I think other people see it too, right?
Maybe. But I've had a lot of time to look back now. you know.
That's right. A lot of time.
Yeah, a lot.
And so you said once you started the investment firm, you got a lot of hate.
Oh yeah.
And so tell me about that and how you dealt with that, or even because you built Commune for skaters, right?
Originally.
Okay.
The original idea was for skaters. Yeah.
And then
I had to pivot.
There's no money.
No, well, yes and no. The original concept was more built around my experience, right? Like, I was a pro skateboarder. I was scared of life after skateboarding. My career ends, I'm okay. Why? And I ultimately wanted to recreate my entire experience for others, right? Like, had somebody come in and teach me about money, had opportunity to invest in, came together, here I am. And so because of that, the first kind of group that I wanted to pay attention to was skaters. And so went out to a lot of skaters, but the hard part is kind of twofold. One, skaters don't make a lot of money.
Yep.
And two, one thing I wasn't prepared for, which I'm actually glad happened, when I started talking about all of this on social media, I was speaking to skaters, and people that never touched a skateboard were hitting me up. Hey dude, I never skated, but like, I'm in sales and I make a ton of money and it starts over every year and I have no clue what I'm going to do after, and I have to like work my ass off just to maintain my lifestyle. And I know what you mean about your sponsors going away. I was like, that's interesting. You know, and then I started having, you know, football players and other sports, which that one made sense. And then it was like, you know, I started having attorneys invest with me. And I'm like, I don't understand you. How does this message resonate with you? Right? Well, I'm so focused on my hourly fee, right? Yeah. And like, I live my life based on hours. And, you know, I'd like to get to a point where I don't have to think about that. And so it was just fascinating that the thing that I was going through that I thought was unique is actually more universal than I realized. And then I opened it up, and then it was like, I mean, we're all over the board now. It's like athletes, attorneys, YouTubers, podcasts. It's crazy the amount of people we have. They're doing cool stuff to make money. But no, the hate was gnarly. It was crazy. Not from a lot of pros. There is some pros, of course, but not a lot of pros were giving me crap. But a lot of it was kids.
Yeah. That are like into the culture.
Yeah, 100% skaters.
Yeah, skaters upset with the world, right? Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so what do you say to those kids that look at you, say you sold out, you're working for the man, you're building real estate, right? Mr. Monopoly, and you came from the park.
Yeah, in the beginning, it wasn't so much that. It wasn't like the man. It wasn't like you own real estate. The pushback I was getting in the beginning was like, you shouldn't be talking about investing. You're not a financial planner. You have no degree. So I was getting stuff on that. And then I was getting people just say, dude, like, this is stupid. Like, just, this isn't it, you know? And so I don't know what I would say to them. One, I would say, I like doing this. Like, hey, I get that it's not for you, all good, but like, I love what I'm doing. So I'm going to keep doing it. And then on the others, it was like, yes, I did not go to college. I don't have a degree, but I never learned from people that had degrees anyway. I learned all this from people that were doing it. So if you want to know how I did it, here it is. Mm-hmm. And then I just put my head down and took the punches for like 3.5, 4 years. And then it shifted.
It took 3.5 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess you were a pro skater. You had a big audience, so.
When I quit skateboarding, I had 524,000 followers on Instagram. I remember looking at it going, it's probably the biggest it's ever going to get.
And now?
It dropped down to about 400.
Wow.
So I was losing followers every day. And then now I'm almost at 900,000. It was 2020. 2020 was the year it all changed.
Okay. During the boom. Low interest rates, rising equity, TikTok. Yeah.
TikTok is what did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. TikTok changed everything.
I missed the TikTok.
It was nuts. It was nuts. Yeah, it was crazy. But no, that TikTok was the first platform that allowed me to start over, right? Like, prior to TikTok, every platform I had already created a brand and I already had followers that were following me for skateboarding. So because of the algorithm, if I wasn't putting out skateboarding, nobody would watch, content would tank, and then I'd never get exposed to new people. And then what I was doing would never grow. And so when I started over with TikTok with no one following me, the content just went nuts. And so now I'm going, okay, I got 200,000 followers in a week. Like, this is crazy. 300, 400, stuff's going crazy. And then that forced the other platforms to change their algorithm. And then they had to basically put it so that it was content focused. If you have good content, it will go viral, not if you have a big following. And then that gave my content exposure. And then people started following me. And now it's like I have less skaters. Or maybe the better way to say it is skaters that don't care about business or investing, they're now a fraction of my following.
Yeah, because the algorithm went and found skaters or skater adjacent investor business people that like your content. Yeah, that's interesting that you learned that, because this is sort of a new thing that people don't understand.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that your following isn't as big of a deal. It helps. If you have a bigger following, it does help. But if you make good content, and I'm like continually evaluating like the word content. Okay, content. It's not just a thing. It's like, is your content good?
Yeah.
Is it good content? Do I want to consume it? Right? I'm like saying it differently because it means something different now that I'm creating content.
Right.
But what happens, what you were describing, just for everyone in the audience, is if you make a good video, the algorithm will put it in front of the people that need to see it. And now what you're seeing sometimes is you'll post something and it may not do as well in the beginning, but it's still making its way through the web of connections, and like it's looking at who is adjacent and 6 degrees separated that might be in this little category, and then you might see it take off because it found the people that needed to see that video, if it's good.
That's right.
If it's good, or if people like it, I guess, is
right.
the difference. So, which means that anybody out there, if you make a good piece of content, it will go viral. It will find the people, and the people will find you. And that's a good thing, because if you're selling something, if you're creating something, if you're talking about certain things, that means it is specifically finding the people that really want to hear you speak. So even if you don't have a big following, the people that are following you are like, they should be hardcore. They should be ride or die, basically, because they are like, they found you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anyways, so you've been creating content for a long time.
Yeah.
You've been in video parts, your Sponsor Me video. I watched a bunch of the Barracks, right? And
I was ahead of the curve for sure.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And so like, I've heard you say, oh, it was weird to become like a talking head or, start making this real estate content. But when I look and I see it was a natural progression, and you were different.
Yeah, I think knowing what I know now, it was a learning curve to talk about principles or investing or business, where before I was comfortable talking in front of a camera, but it was just my personality. It was just fun. Like, this is what we're doing. Let's go enjoy. This was more like teaching. And I had to learn that one.
And so what gave you the confidence to go do that?
Survival. It wasn't confidence. It was basically what happened for me is I had this whole marketing campaign when I started the company that was going to be I was going to promote our investors, right? Because that's what we did with the brewery. It was like, who are our investors? Our investors are cool people. Let's tell their story and use them to build the brand. That's what I was going to do with Commune, right? I had a proven strategy in the beer industry. Real estate has never seen anything like this. No brainer. And I couldn't get anybody to talk about money. Nobody wanted to go near it. So I looked out and went, this is the thing that is going to help us grow. And if no one's going to do it, it was like, I have to do it. And so I just did it. It was in some regards, it was probably good that I had to. I didn't have time to really weigh it. It was just my company's survival is dependent on content.
Why were you surviving at that point? Why was it survival?
Because it was a startup. Every startup's in survival mode.
And so did you have any assets that you were buying? Were you under contract?
I had, at this point, 2 assets. I had a 34-unit apartment in Long Beach, and then I had a development deal in Ohio, were the 2. And then, when did the third? No, there's only 2 at this point. And the brand side was happening basically in real time with assets. And so you could probably make the argument that you didn't need to do the brand. You could just do the real estate and grow it the same way everyone else does. But for me, that was not my vision. So like when I say I was in survival, like everything was going into me creating the vision that I had in mind. And that was a massive part of it. And so I was very, very scared that my idea was going to fail if I hadn't figured this part out.
That's what I'm curious about is you doing your sponsorship stuff, doing it differently, sending your sponsor me video out. We haven't even talked about your shoes, right? And all this stuff and doing like having the brewery exit before you even quit skating, and then this fear of not having the money come in. Like how much of your pursuit is like fear-based or scarcity-based versus like building an abundance and from a creative place?
Really good question. It's changed. In the beginning, it was entirely fear-based, 100%. St. Archer was probably a blend of the two. There was definitely a fear element, but I was pretty focused on upside and opportunity. Commune, it wasn't fear the way it was in skateboarding. It was, let me think of that's such a good question. I was focused on the upside. It was definitely a opportunistic and optimistic view to create it, but I was reinventing myself at the same time, so it meant more. There was more on the line than just my money, right? It was like this is who I am, and there's an added pressure after you sell a company, right? After you sell a company, I'm telling you right now, everybody's going to go, did they get lucky? Can they do it again? And who hears that and feels that the most is the founder. And so I definitely went, okay, like I'm not a pro skateboarder anymore. I'm out of the beer industry. People think I got lucky. Like this is my opportunity to either prove to them or to use this as my competition to prove to the people that aren't even really watching that I can do this. You know, but there definitely felt like I was wrestling with way more than a financial investment.
How long do you feel like you wrestled with that?
4 years.
Like, was it daily?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I would say the thing that I probably wrestled with the most was just allowing myself to be me, right? Like in the beer industry, like I think it was probably because I was still a pro skateboarder, or because the beer industry felt so similar to skateboarding. I didn't care what people thought of me in the beer industry. It was like, care less. Going into this world was very foreign to me, right? Like, let's put it this way. When I would go to like beer events, like people were wearing t-shirts and hoodies, right? All of a sudden I'm walking into meetings, everybody's in suits, everybody went to Ivy League schools, everybody's talking, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, billions, right? Totally different landscape. And so like I'm walking in the beginning, I look like a skater, right? I'm in like a hoodie, and like these guys are like, what? How did you get in here? And so there was definitely something I was wrestling with of like, do I need to be accepted? But I think the secondary part was I'm now managing a lot of money. And do I need to sound a certain way and look a certain way for people to trust my ability to do this? And so in the beginning, I probably went a little bit further than I needed to of trying to not sound and look like a skater, just out of like concern that people weren't going to invest with me. And then I got to a point where I was like, what am I doing? Like, who cares? Like, you're good with me or you're not, right? Like, if I'm not somebody you want to invest in because of how I look, go invest with somebody else. If you don't like my strategy, go invest with somebody else. Like, take it or leave it. And what's interesting, like anything, is once I got to that point, way more people invested with me. There's something very powerful about being comfortable with who you are and what you're doing, and then telling somebody, I do not care if you don't do this with me. All good. I'm not losing sleep over it, my man. More people want to end up messing with you.
Can you tell me how you got there a little bit more? Like, is there...
Commune Capital?
No,
or
just
getting to that point?
Yeah, getting to the point of like...
Yeah, little wins over time, right? It was like, if I were to like really think of like some impactful moments on the negative side, I remember walking into a meeting with a group that we wanted to do business with. And, I've got 5 people from my team, 4 of theirs. And I walk in, the guy looks at me, he goes, "You the assistant?" Right? I remember hearing that. And like, I did not like alpha back. I was just like, no, sit down. Meeting goes on. I'm in my head like, I can't believe that guy just pressed me, right? And something very special happened at the end of the meeting though. As we start getting into something came up and I started talking. And very quickly I started running the room. And everybody's attention came on me, right? And then it was like at the end, I didn't even like say anything. I was like, "Dude, great meeting you. And he walked out and he goes, "Dude, when you started, I was like, you caught me so off guard. I didn't realize you were the founder of this company. When you spoke, I was like, I've never heard anybody kind of build out a vision the way you just did real estate. Like you just made real estate cool." Mm-hmm. Right? And I remember going home telling my wife, and my wife goes, "You've always used what makes you different as a superpower. Why are you not doing that now?" And I was just like, "Oh, you're right." So then I started playing into it, right? I started showing up, trying to make them think that I was, some random who knew nothing, which allowed me to actually blow them away more so than if they had a very high kind of starting point with me. And then, after a while, like, I don't know if it's getting older. I don't know if it's like getting your business established, but you get to a point where you're like, okay, this is working. And then it takes off some of the pressure, I think.
Yeah. Does having some money in the account help?
Not me.
Really?
Actually, no. The money's never been the mover for me. That's the weird part. Like I talk about money on all my content. I started an investment firm. Like money for me is like really only a metric of the goal I'm chasing, but like it's never driven me. Like I don't even use it. Like it's like my lifestyle is so basic. It's always been basic. So it's not for the lifestyle, It's very strange.
I bet there's people out there just like cringing because they're just struggling and they want it so bad.
Yeah, maybe. But that's actually, if for that group, the group that's struggling, that wants to make money, well, it's actually an important point. If you're struggling, the desire to get to a point where you're not in survival, that's something different than what I'm saying. Like, yes, like just get to a point where you're not underwater. There's a lot of freedom in that. What I'm talking about is beyond that, right? Like you're making enough to like live an enjoyable life. I never needed more than that I never needed money to be more than that. Like I didn't need money to make me feel good. I didn't need money to make others think I'm more important than I am. It was never to mask an insecurity. That's what I mean by that. So I don't know, give me more, give me less. I don't know if it matters.
And so what does motivate you then to keep doing these things?
That's changed over the years. Nowadays, it's actually more like faith-based that drives me more than anything, which hasn't always been the case. Like usually what would drive me was just the goal, right? Like what I learned about myself a long time ago is I feel good pursuing something. And so anytime I set a goal, when I hit the goal, it feels good for like a second and then it goes away. But in the pursuit to it, I got a lot of fulfillment in that. That got me to a lot. That was a lot of the driving factor. And then now I'm at the point where I notice these like skills that I was given that are like so apparent that they didn't come from me, right? Like maybe I've been able to fine tune them, but there's been gifts that I was given that like I can't explain. And so I think what drives me more than anything is like, okay, if God gave me these talents, I want to use them to the best of my ability. But then in turn, and this has been the big shift this year, is like, I want to give credit to him with what he allowed me to grow, So that's kind of the I would say for this last year, that's been the main focus.
So just living in your zone of genius, using your unique ability and having thanks and gratitude for...
I think making it less about me though.
Yeah.
Right. Like I did this. I think the new vision is, it's less about me. You know, I can be the example, but it's not for a reason to make me feel good.
Yeah, you're being a lighthouse.
Yeah, attempting to be. Yeah.
Attempting to be. Okay. Attempting.
Well, moving towards, I don't know, perfecting, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Lighthouses can always be under repair, right?
Yeah,
They can be improved. The light can get brighter or spin faster or whatever. I don't know the analogy. But you mentioned your wife, Jen, right? And so she sounds a lot like my wife and the relationship that we have.
Yeah, you married up too?
Yeah, definitely. I looking back, I'm like, how did you even deal with me?
I had a conversation with her not that long ago. How the heck did you stay with me? What did you see in me when I was a kid?
Whoa, so you guys were kids?
Oh yeah, I met her when I was 15.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Married when you're 16?
No, my parents and her parents moved next door to each other. So like, just like this house next door, that was my wife and I. So I met her when I was a kid.
How does that happen?
God, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. My parents moved into a brand new development.
Well, there's another proximity.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So I met her. We were friends, but never like into each other. And then she moved down south to go to college. She came home for Christmas break. I ran into her and just threw it out there, not even trying to hit on her. I was like, you want to go get dinner and just catch up? She's like, let's do it. And so we were eating, and it was just, this time was a little bit different. And then we started dating, and then we dated for about 5 years, and then we got married. And at the end of this month, we're celebrating our 15-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're 13 in August.
Yeah, so we've been together 20-something years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
so she's seen it all.
She's seen it all.
Yeah, before I was a pro, becoming a pro, all of it. Career ending, kids.
Yeah. Tell me about the kids in the family.
I have 4 children. My oldest is about to be 13. So I have Scarlett's 13, Amelia's 10, my son Elliot is 5, and then my daughter Vivian turns 3 next week.
Congratulations.
So I have a squad.
Yep.
It's busy. It's crazy. It's super fun. It's super hard. And super fulfilling. It's all of it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Are they skaters?
No. I've tried so hard. None of them want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
No, my girls they play volleyball. They're super creative. No skateboarding. My son's like motorcycles and bicycles. Motorcycle might be a little bit too much. He's on like an electric razor.
Yeah, like the
thing.
Super 73 or whatever.
Yeah, but he's like, 5 years old. He's ripping like 18 miles an hour on the street.
So tell me about the decision to become mayor of Thousand Oaks. And I know you're mayor pro tem, but you've been mayor pro tem for like 3 years, right?
No, so our city is a rotating mayor and rotating mayor pro tem.
Okay.
So typically it's mayor pro tem as there's mayor, and then the mayor pro tem becomes the mayor, and then it cycles through.
Yeah, it's like big blind, small blind.
Basically. And so I did 2 years just as a city council. This year I've been mayor pro tem, so starting January. And then next January, in theory, I should become mayor.
Okay. And so like, what was it like running for city council, becoming a politician?
Becoming a politician is a different question. Running a campaign felt like a startup on jet fuel. It was one of the craziest experiences of my life.
Okay.
Right? Like, like business, somebody will say it's like building the boat when you're already on water, or, building the plane while you're already flying.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like that going 10x the speed.
Okay.
So like, some of the same things are at play. You had to create your brand, which is basically your vision and why you're running. You had to get people to know who you were, and then you had to get people to buy in, vote for you, right? The hard part was I have never built a business where you don't have revenue to pay people to come to work.
Yeah.
It's all donation of time, right? And so you had to like get people on board to help you, pass out flyers and door knock and all of the things that went into it for free.
Yeah.
That was a learning curve. But it was fun. There was an element of it that was fun for sure.
An element.
Yeah, there was an element that was fun.
Yeah.
I'm very happy I did it. But at the same time, that was one of the most brutal experiences I've ever had as well. Like having people talk shit on the internet about capitalism and owning real estate or not being a pro skateboarder anymore, that's one thing. Political pushback is crazy.
Okay.
And so that was an adjustment. That was like people say crazy stuff and it goes straight to the heart, you know?
Oh, it does?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have a thick skin.
No, it's not that it's thick skin. It's that I'd never had people say the things they said to me before, right? Like you could tell me I'm a shitty skateboarder. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, you could tell me I'm wrong at investing in real estate. Okay. You could say you hate capitalism. Okay. Right? Like that's fine. That's all criticism. I've never had somebody call me racist my whole life.
Oh.
That was new. You know?
Yeah.
That was definitely new. So like stuff like that, like blood is on your hands, stuff like that. I was like, what are you talking about? You know, that part was new.
Did you feel any truth from any of that? I mean, I'm sure you're not racist or anything, but like.
No, I was blown away by it. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, where did you get that from?
And so what do you do about it?
Well, it ended up really being the large reason why I got elected, actually. So kind of to give you more dynamic on our area, there were 10 people running for 3 seats. And 2 of the 3 seats were incumbents. So there was only 1 seat open. And in that, there were planning commissioners that were running. It was like a very contested election. And I kind of came out of nowhere. People are like, what the heck is this, right? And in the beginning, I think they looked at me and went, he's got a massive following. He's got resources to run this. They looked at me as the biggest risk, right? And so everybody put their attention towards me and they were saying crazy stuff, right? But to my benefit, it was building my name recognition. And what people were doing is like, okay, let's look into this dude. And when they looked in, I've had decades of content for them to see. And what they saw looked nothing like what was being promoted. And so it ended up building my name recognition here. And I don't think I would have got elected if I wouldn't have had the response I did when I ended up running.
You're kind of the Trump of Thousand Oaks, right?
Yes. Yeah. Very, 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 very small version of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
in terms of like, he was the outsider.
Without them putting the focus on me, nobody would have known who I was here.
Okay.
Or not at the rate that I needed them to.
Oh, wait. So you're saying the people that called you racist and blood on your hands were people you were running against?
Well, here's how politics works. Yes and no. They won't say that personally, but the groups that run the people, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that to the naked eye, you don't know how it's working, and it's all one thing. Okay,
so these people that claim like false flags or whatever, or like they rent people to be at protests, or like, is that kind of what you're talking?
100% real thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to do, right? So why wouldn't they do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I was up against that. It's small scale.
But still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you put yourself on the line and you're trying to help the community. And so I've heard you talk a lot about affordable housing, right? And I think it's really interesting to watch somebody like you who knows how the real world works, because I think that's a complaint of government is no one's really gone out and built a business. There are people, right? But
very few.
Yeah, and to go raise money, to be a skater and to go like create sponsorships and get brand deals and then exit a company and build real estate. There's not a lot of people in government that have real world experience and have paid people's salaries,
right?
And like legitimately, not from taxpayer dollars, right? But like out of their own pocket and made payroll and struggled to make payroll and found the money at the last minute, or dealt with the type of people that don't show up to work, or you know what I mean? Like all of those things, plus how smart you are with real estate. When I watch you on those city council videos, it's like, yes, this is great. Someone who knows what they're talking about and knows how to get things done. And so how have you been received with the rest of like the council members and the city? And
well, it's like, I think I had a moment like I explained when I started Commune, is I think there were a lot of people that were like, I don't know if the blowback was just like, this is what it's going to take to not get this guy elected, or if they truly thought I was nuts. But I had a huge opportunity to show people who I really was. And so that part was cool. I would say for the most part, the feedback's been positive. I have a group that will never vote for me no matter what.
Yeah.
But I would say overall it's been positive. But with me, I picked the thing that I thought my skill set would complement, right? Like I picked city council because I thought with my experience, I could help with basically the business of the city, what real estate becomes what, how we manage the budget. I was like, this is great. This is like a perfect place to do it. And so I went in more like, I can give back in this specific lane. And then if I get elected, let me do my thing, right? That's not why most people run for office. And so I think because of that, I've had a moment where it's like, yeah, this is the reason why I did this. And I don't have desire to do more. I picked this because I wanted to help the city. And this is how I thought I could.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why, but that's not, most people run for city council because they want to run for assembly and then Congress, and then they want to do more. So city council is typically a launching point for a political career.
Yeah.
That was different for me.
Do people think that you're trying to make more money for yourself by like changing the laws in your favor?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't invest where I'm elected though. I don't invest in Thousand Oaks. So.
Not until you change the rule of it. No.
Yeah, no, I probably
I'm
will.
just kidding.
Yeah, so you gotta be careful with that. The city doesn't work for how I invest.
Yeah.
The city where I own a home, but I like building apartments here, it doesn't work for my model.
That's right. That's right.
And to tell you the truth, if I wanted to do real estate here, I wouldn't become a city council member. I would do what I do in every other city.
That's right.
Yeah, it's easier that way.
That's right. It is easier that way. That's right.
Yeah.
And so what is the thing that you're trying to change here or improve?
The big thing that I'm spending the majority of my time on is our downtown. So we are building out, we're doing a massive redevelopment and putting our energy towards creating an actual like hub for the city. And so I'm on an ad hoc committee for it. I've been spending a lot of time with the design crew on, designing it out and how it's going to get structured. And I'm one of 5 when it comes to actually voting on these things, but I've been really involved in getting it to the point of then presenting it to city council and then all of us vote. That'll be something that I will be very thankful and proud of getting that thing through, because that was a big reason why I ran. I grew up here. It's very rare for the 20 to 35-year-old to stay. Once you have kids, some come back, but I wanted something more to do here. Instead of, we get a babysitter, my wife and I look at each other, where should we go to dinner? And we go to Ventura.
That's right.
Or we go down south. There's just, there was a pocket that was missing here that I wanted to solve for. And what we're doing now at the downtown is like, that's one of the things I ran on.
Yeah. I know when I think I talked to you or one of your investors or one of your managers a few years ago, and you guys were doing mall conversions.
Yeah.
Is that part of the plan?
I pivoted from the malls.
Oh, yeah. Dang, that's too bad. Because it's a good
one. Yeah, we did one. I was doing one in Richmond Heights, right outside of Cincinnati. It was a big one, 800 units. And when I started the company, that's where I thought we were going to go. I thought it was going to be buying all the dead malls and redeveloping them into mixed-use communities. And when we started doing the first one is when I started seeing what was going on in California. And so I weighed it out. Well, what's the bigger opportunity? And I felt like what was happening in California was the biggest.
Yeah.
Sold Ohio, put everything here.
Oh, you did sell it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you ever fully build it out or just?
No, we sold, we entitled it. And then right when permits were RTI, we technically ended up selling our interest in it.
Yeah.
And we saw a great return.
Yeah.
And then we put all of our energy here.
That's a good strategy, by the way, is just like get things entitled and then sell it.
It's a good strategy if you're trying to turn money quick.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to build a war chest and a machine, that's harder.
It is harder.
Yeah.
All right, Mikey, I got something I want to show you.
All right, let's see it.
You've probably seen this, but I thought it was pretty interesting. And we've been talking about content.
Oh gosh, it's me, 411. I remember this.
Edit bay, room number 20, and this is the intro. This is about as creative as we could get. So here we go. Issue number 63 is the Mikey issue. Yeah, I don't know. I just, scored it. So
I wonder how old I was here. 23?
You think you're 23? I was going to say like 15.
I was a baby face.
Okay.
Eric. There's going to be rookies with Scott Kane, a road trip with Venture to Make-A-Wish, and a Hot Wheels with Kelly Hart, Russ Milligan, Bjorn Johnson, and Sven Kilchinman. There's going to be a Wheels of Fortune.
Dang, that's freaking nuts, man. That's old school, dude.
So like who were you and like what happened right after that?
Yeah, that was actually before I got my first pro shoe.
Okay.
That's when everything started taking off. I had my own 411 issue. It was a big skate magazine, video magazine. And then I had a video part that did really well. I got a shoe. The shoe did well. That like set the tone.
What's it like to get a shoe?
Weird.
Yeah.
Really weird. Yeah. It was the first, it was cool. The weird part is when I started seeing people that didn't skateboard wear it. Like we always called just normal people. Look, there's a normal person wearing my shoe, right? First person I ever saw was I walked into a supermarket, Albertsons, and one of the guys working there was wearing my shoe. I was like, look at that. It's crazy. Yeah, that was nuts.
What would you tell him? Like that, I guess, 20-year-old, 23-year-old.
What would I tell myself?
Yeah.
For me, the most valuable thing that I could have told myself back then was ignore what everyone else is saying about you. Just like back then especially, like most of the things I did were with the intention of being perceived well by others. Will somebody like this? Are they going to like me? How I said this? Will they like that? There's too much focus on what other people thought of me. If I could have got comfortable with myself the way I am now back then, I would have been dangerous.
So what's the one thing that somebody can do right now to stop caring what other people think about them?
Well, for me, it started when I got married and having kids. That really brought the focus towards what they thought. So at least made the voices smaller, right? My wife and kids think I'm good. Okay, I'm good, right? But beyond that, for me, that's what really started like driving the journey towards like, for me, the creator. It was like, I had to answer the question, like, why do I feel like I need other people to love me? Like, and why that led me to, really a belief in God was really being able to answer the question, why am I here? Why was I put on this planet? Right? What's my purpose? What's my identity? What happens after this? And once I got really kind of clear on the reason why I was here, then I stopped caring what other people thought. If what I'm doing is, if God's good with me, then I'm good. That's it. And like, look, there's gonna be times where like your wife and kids are not okay with something you're saying, but I think the only way that you find a compass that directs you forward, or a lighthouse like that you mentioned, it's like, that's what it's become for me. You good with this? Okay, I'm good. Move forward. Then let the chips fall where they fall.
I love that. Mikey, this has been absolutely incredible. I thank you so much. And thank you for spending some extra time. I know you got a busy schedule, but yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, what is up, everybody? That was Mikey Taylor. And I think the theme with so many of these interviews that I'm having with people that have invested in themselves or started businesses or created something is having authenticity and being true to themselves, being true to their core values, and continuing to persevere. I think even in the beginning of Mikey's career, he felt different. And so being in an environment where you feel different, but still wanting to succeed, still wanting to compete, and then continuing to leave that environment and get criticized by those people for starting something different and starting something new and making money, despite that really being what people want and what we all desire. And so the overall feeling that I got from Mikey was just a complete and utter level of comfort and belief in himself Just this knowing, this calmness, this authenticity, it's really what I believe we desire as people, right? And he's made a ton of money and he's been super successful and he's had the freedom and ability to go do what he wants, but he's towards the end of his career, but he's still building. And so if you listen to everything that we talked about, I think he has I don't want to say typical path, but if you can keep going, through all the pain, all the adversity, all the self-doubt, this is a common path for a lot of us where we start in the beginning just fear-based, scarcity-based, grabbing onto everything that we can, seizing every opportunity, saying yes, pushing through the discomfort, being in groups and places that maybe we don't feel like we belong, and then using that momentum, using that money, using that connection of people to go build something new, right? So he went from skating, and then even before he finished skating, he had already exited St. Archer Brewing, which is interesting because this is another, I think, common thing that we all do is we start something and then we start another thing because we're afraid that the other thing is going to end instead of just completely focusing on one thing at a time. Now, he became extremely successful and it worked out. And a lot of times it does work out for us. And then he exited. And it took about a month until he felt like he needed to go start doing something. So he started a real estate fund. And in his storytelling, he was not being authentic to himself. He was trying to be like the other people that were in that space. But when he started leaning in to his unique ability and his differentiators and what made him unique and what he felt comfortable doing, that's when everything actually took off. That's when he felt better. That's when everyone else felt better. They were able to raise more money. Things started taking off. And this is what I continue to see over and over and over again in every single story, is that the sooner that you embrace your unique ability, the sooner that you embrace the thing that makes you you and become so comfortable and so unafraid of just being yourself and doing the thing that you want to do, that's when the universe unlocks. But for me, and this is why I was asking a lot of those questions during the interview, the self-doubt and the questioning and the resistance and the old hardwiring of scarcity and fear and gripping onto money and gripping onto opportunities and what will people think of me, that stuff keeps us small. It keeps us held back. And so the work is becoming the most authentic version of yourself, pushing through the resistance and not stopping. Bare minimum, if all you do is don't stop, you will become more successful than 99% of the people around you, because 99% of the people around you give up at each step along the journey. I've talked about this before, but a mantra that I'm saying over and over every single day is that this is where everyone else gives up. This is where everyone else stops. This is where everyone else quits, but not you. Despite the discomfort, despite feeling like you're different, despite the self-doubt, despite the work being extremely hard, despite it taking longer than you expected, you continue to persevere. So I'm really grateful for Mikey being here. I don't know why he showed up. I don't know why people keep showing up and saying yes to me. I have an idea, but when you go out on your own, nobody has to do anything for you. Nobody has to say yes. Nobody has to show up. Nobody has to do anything. And I'm so grateful that these people keep showing up and saying yes, and that I get to sit and look essentially at a mirror of my life and others' lives and learn lessons and grow and share all this stuff with you. So I know I talk about this stuff all the time, but it's really important to me that you guys get to hear these conversations. And I think just the one takeaway is figure out how you, as soon as humanly possible, can remove all fear and doubt and self-judgment and fear of judgment of others. Become the most authentic version of yourself. The sooner that you do that, the sooner the universe will open up. So if you like this episode, even if you didn't like it, just comment below. Share this with anyone that needs to hear this. Share this with the skaters. Share this with the athletes. Share this with anyone that needed to hear this interview. Please subscribe. whatever you're listening to this podcast on, whatever platform you're on right now, whether it's Apple or Spotify or YouTube, please share it. Please give me 5-star. Please leave a review. This is the only way that we can grow. And you can see how much time and energy and effort and care we put into this to be able to share this with you and others. So please, if you love me, if you like this podcast, if you like this YouTube video, please share it with anybody else that could hear and see this. As always, appreciate you guys. Love you. Peace.